All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Gabe, Goose, and Heck. You need a vacation. In this episode, we discuss our vacation experiences as kids and adults, escaping the hustle and bustle, and our favorite vacations with our family. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Auguste Rodin and Jim Rohn. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off. Summertime fun. Gentlemen, we're here.
We made it.
It's Auguste. So I picked Auguste Rodin.
To correspond with the month we're in.
Yes, to correspond. We're hitting the end here of August, right?
Yes.
Once this releases, anyway.
Right.
And so it was just a gentleman here, and so we decided to, smoke a cigar, have a discussion, and keep it moving because it's relaxing. So we picked the right topic for this. All right. So just as a basic kind of discussion starter or conversation starter. How do you know it's time for a vacation? Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a vacation as in, a month off or 2 weeks off or something like that. It can be a mini vacay. Mm-hmm. Something for a day or two, maybe 3 days, maybe a week.
A long weekend or something.
Yeah, long weekend, exactly. Whatever. How do you know, is there like a point where it's time to take one and you actually take one, or is it like just a set thing you have every year, right? Like there's people who take off, like in other countries, the entire month of August, right?
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks in August, right? Goose, I know, your in-laws take off a specific 2 weeks in August every single year, right? Yeah. And they probably do other things. I'm just saying, like, there's a locked in 2 weeks just right there.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, how do you know you need a vacation for you? I mean, everyone's different.
Well, everyone needs a vacation, right? You need time off. But going back to 2020 during the pandemic, right? So prior to 2020, me working at the barbershop, being a business owner, I just worked, and we would just go on like weekend trips here and there. Yeah. So then, when the world shut down in 2020, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, first they initially said, "Oh, you gotta shut down for 2 weeks."
Yeah.
And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, dude, I've never even taken 2 weeks off ever, and they want me to shut down for 2 weeks. So obviously we complied, whatever, and it went extended to 3 months, whatever. But when we went back to work, right, and I'm like, that time that I did take off, it was worth it, and I like recharged.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that I needed a break ever. Like I just worked. My weekends came, and that's when I kind of in my mind I reset myself and then went back to work. So like coming back to work after the pandemic, after everything, I made sure I took like 1 day a month, like one Wednesday in the middle of the month off for myself, just to recharge, just to all right. So I'm like, dude, I burned myself out. Didn't even know I was doing it though.
Sure.
So like, I'm like, now from that point on until now, I take one Wednesday a month off for myself to recharge, to decompress on my own, whatever, right? No one is around, and sometimes my wife, she takes that same day off and we kind of hang out, but it's like, it's in the middle of the week. So it's like, you start off your week working, and then, all right, you have this day off, and then you finish the week working. So, dude, honestly, it's like, for me, it's like the best thing. It works out, and it's been like, and if it wasn't for, like I said, the pandemic, for that, taking time off, known. I've never realized that I needed rest.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would have never, because I'm like, all right, now I'm overly rested. We at home for a couple months, like now that's too much. But but like I realized that my body needed that though.
Yeah.
So like Jim said, every year, my in-laws we go to Myrtle Beach. They go down for 2 weeks. I usually go down for like 5 days. And I can't, like, for me personally, I think 5 days is max. It's good. Like my wife, she goes down for 7 days. 5 days, I'm good.
Sure.
I get enough like relaxation, decompress. like do what I gotta do. We hang out, we relax. Then after that, like for me, I think after the 5th day, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to get back to work. Or I don't know. It's weird, but it's like that's just I don't know. That's just me, but after the 5th day, I'm ready to rock and roll again.
Yeah, after a few days, sometimes like you feel like you're out too long, or just like I need to get back to like a routine.
Yeah. But dude, when I get back to work, I'm like, damn, I should have took that second.
Sure. I should have taken that extra day.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I've actually kind of started doing that too, because we used to have like the regular like yearly vacations, but it was always around the same time, like in May or something like that. But then like those kind of fell away because life changes and stuff. But like same thing, like I wouldn't really take much time off, and then at the time, up until a couple years ago, we were required like all of our time to use like vacation or personal time was required by the end of June. So like I pretty much wouldn't take much time off. Yes. Yeah. Then we get all the time back come July 1st. So you have to use it, and then you get it all back essentially.
But the fiscal year was end of June.
Yeah. Yes. So that's what our fiscal year was, July to June. Yeah. So up until that point, since we switched systems, whatever, I mean, up until that point, then like I wouldn't take much time off during the week. I would usually use a bunch of time during when we used to take it like in May or whatever, but then I still have a bunch of days left over. I'm like scrambling to take time off because you have to use it all because you don't get, you can't pay,
I remember that.
You can't pay it out, you can't, or cash it out, whatever you call it. And so it was like, then I'm like,
I know, you would text me like, yo, dude, you taking any days off at all this
month? Was it use it or lose it pretty much?
Yeah. Like, for vacation and personal days. It was
gotcha.
So it was all scrambled. So like I'm scrambling like half of June I'm off, half of this stuff like, but I've kind of started doing like at least, now we accrue anyway. So it was like now I take at least one day off. I'll use like for an appointment, use it for whatever, like just to have a day off. Cause especially you can only build up so much time anyway too. And I was like, you want over excess time that you can't use anyway. Right. So it's like, but it's good to have a day off that you just, relax a little bit, do something a little more leisurely, and it's like just to, like I said, unwind and just chill for a day, whether it be, because I actually don't mind like a Wednesday having off, like in the middle of the week.
I love that.
Yes.
It breaks up the week, because like you have your couple days here off for Wednesday, and you have a couple days, and it's like it breaks it up even better than like the weekend itself.
It really is. Wednesdays off is absolutely clutch.
That's so my schedule, because we work from home. So my schedule is I go in the office Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday I work from home, and then Friday I go back in the office. So it's like a kind of like a good balance. Like take those 2 days at home, doing my thing, and then Friday, which is what everyone else picked. So I'm in the office. It's a straight ghost town in there. Yeah. So it's like I'm not really dealing with anybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? Other than unless an issue comes up and I have to fix it. But I mean, for the most part, it's kind of like working with no one there. Like it's very, 3 guys from my group that are there on Fridays. So it's like it's just easy. It does break up the week though. It makes my week go by faster, because I actually kind of look like Sunday. I'm like, I just go in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I don't have to get up early to rush to to get to work and get all that stuff. But so like for us, we can only do vacations in August because the girls have softball, and like Bella's softball tournament just ended in the end of July, so we can't really do much of anything. They went to South Carolina this year, so that's like just crazy expenses going after that and all that stuff. So it's just a big. So I'm looking forward to going this year. We're going a little longer. We're going for 5 days, I believe it is. Usually we go for like the 3-4 days max. We're going for 5 days. We're going from the 20th to the 25th down to Wildwood, and like I'm just like looking forward to that, because just every weekend is always something. You know what I mean? Like just on the hustle.
He's saying every weekend there's something. Every weekend he has a kid's birthday. That's what it is.
Yeah, I need to relax. Yeah, so the month of July is like very hectic in our house. So it's like August is like we kind of look forward to just chilling, going out to the shore, and just beach day in it every day. Like there is no set plans for anything. Just go with the roll.
Yeah. So once you finally get your maybe you pick your time, what's the coordination look like? Goose, like I know you said once a month you try to do a Wednesday, and Lauren might join you or whatever, but what's the discussion like hey, let's actually take a few days and go down to whatever the shore, the mountains, or whatever. What's the coordination look like? Because I know currently for me, the benefit of my wife being a stay-at-home mom, it's basically my schedule and whatever sports stuff we have going on. Yep. But at this time of year, it's a lot easier, and you can maneuver it in August because of all the things that have already been said. But I remember the biggest issue, especially with when you have kids and time off, is you use a lot of time, random days, because you're taking care of your kid, whether they're sick or for other various reasons. Like they have a winter break while I don't at work. You know what I mean?
Right. Sure.
But we have to take care of our kids. That's our responsibility. So you're using days for that. And so I remember the hardest part was just making sure we accrued enough to even take a decent stretch of days in a row consecutive. So early on, a lot of our time off it was only like we would take a Friday and a Monday off because it was the only thing we could string together 4 days. Because naturally we'd had the weekends off.
Exactly.
And Kel would be like, well, I only have like a handful of days that I have, and I always want to keep 1 or 2 in a hopper because of the kids or the boys. And we'd alternate. Like if you don't have time, then I would obviously have to take off from work or whatever. We'd figure it out. But I know that was like the biggest thing is when you have a family, you have to be mindful of the days off that you're taking because if you use it all up in the winter and then all of a sudden summer comes, you'll be salty.
No time.
You know what I mean? You're like, dang, we can't even do anything. Or you're just taking day trips on the weekends or stuff like that. You manage, I guess, because there was a time where she had no days. Like she's like, it got to a point, and I think it was like James got sick for like a week, then she got sick for a week, and it was like, dude, she knocked out like 2 weeks, and like she used up like the majority of her time. And it was something where I don't know how I figured out, we just booked something for a Friday and a Saturday night. So she didn't use the days. Right after work, we just, ripped down the highway, Friday night, Saturday night, enjoy shore life, came back late Sunday. Like, I mean, you just make it happen.
Work, right?
I mean, it was, the situation. But I know that was tough. But anyway, maneuvering that and I'll let you guys talk, or if you're going with other families, like if you're going, so we did a lot of, like the Velez family would do a lot down the Jersey Shore, and coordinating a weekend was nearly impossible. We would make it happen, but like somebody was always PO'd about it because it didn't really work with them. They kind of had to force it to work or whatever. Yeah. It wasn't that serious, but you know what I'm saying? Like it was like, it's probably not the most ideal situation, but we're just doing it because majority rules.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And so I think it's just a coordination process. I'll let you guys talk, but how does that work out? You got to think, you got to be conscious of it, right?
Yeah.
Your significant other and their time.
Yeah, so for me, my work schedule is I'm off Sunday, Monday. So Sunday, Monday is like, all right, if I go and then we're done I'm done at the shop by 3 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So like I still have, like if we do like those Jersey Shore trips, all right, I'm leaving after work 3 o'clock Saturday. I'll meet up with you guys when we get there, and then I have all Sunday, all Monday, or whatever. And then so it kind of works to my favor having that schedule, but like.
So hold on, really quick. Let me just jump in. So for reference for the listeners. We live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. It's like the northeast part of PA. So Jersey Shore points can be anywhere from 40 to 3 hours away from us, but it's very reasonable travel time. If you're talking about 45 minutes and you're there, so that's what Goose is talking about. The majority of us go to, south. We go South Jersey more, and at most it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours,
right?
And that's reasonable. And the opposite way. And Goose, I'll let you get back in for the mountains. We live in a perfect location. I feel like mountains, hour and a half, 2 hours top. It's like to the points that we're going to. Yes, we can stretch it out and go way further out either way. Right. But anyway.
Yeah, no. So like when we do those trips, like I'll miss like Saturday, like for the most part, but I'm there a Saturday night hanging out, and then like I said, all day Sunday, all day Monday, and then whatever. But like I was saying earlier, I never really took. I never took off. I mean, when I was younger, I took some vacation time. Went to Puerto Rico, been to Mexico, stuff like that. And I was like, and I only did 5 days. Each one of those trips, I went to Vegas 5 days. Everywhere I went was 5 days. I never did like a full 7-day trip. So like, even now, so like I was saying earlier, my wife's family, they go for 2 weeks, and I'm like, I tell Laura, I'm like, yo. Pick one of the weekends out of the 2 weeks that they're there, and that's when we're gonna go. So we usually go from like a Thursday to Tuesday. Lauren stays from like a Thursday to Thursday, but like, I just like I said, the 5 days is like my max. And then so when I do these trips, obviously with me being a business owner, owning the barbershop, I don't accumulate days
time.
like you guys do.
Exactly.
Like I don't have like PTOs. I don't have none of that stuff. So if I don't come to work, I don't get paid.
Sure.
So like I have to manage that like you know what I mean accordingly. And when I take days off because I'm like I try to make myself busy. My book is like solid. I have to manage my vacation like months, like maybe 6 months in advance. So if I need a day off, I got to make sure I'm like 4 to 6 months ahead of making those days off because if not, I get booked up and I don't like to like reschedule people, move people around. I mean, I have if it's like necessary, but I just like to be that far ahead where it doesn't like interfere with anyone's like thing. But like for me, like I said, I need to like set these vacations way in advance, so it's not something that just pops up. Like, hey, I'm going down to the shore this weekend. I mean, I could do small, like a 2-day trip, but when we do a vacation, I have to have that.
Get that way in advance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So for me, my time, unfortunately, during the pandemic, I didn't use any vacation time nor sick time because we didn't really go nowhere. So I just kept accumulating my time. So it was just I have X amount of sick days, X amount of vacation days, and X amount of personal days. So if you didn't use them, they just roll right over to the following year so that you can continue to build up your time. So, excuse me. So that being said, now I know I can take a lot more days off throughout the year without having to worry about like, should I take today off? Because I know we're going off in the next, like last month, I had to take a whole week off because my wife went down to South Carolina. So that's 5 days right there from work. Next week, we're going to Wildwood. I took 5 days off there. That's 10 days right there. And I still have vacation time for Christmas. I still have like vacation time for like, so scheduling it just goes upon her schedule because she's the one that has to figure out at her job who's going to be in, who's going to be on vacation so that there's enough coverage. So when it's time to pick the days, I just let her run with it and I just put my time in and take it from there. It makes it just that much easier just to follow suit with her because she's the one. Like it's more complicated with her to set her schedule.
Yeah. I mean, even just talking about to Goose's point about like the length, right? And as you guys know, I'm still on this mission for this 2022 to be the greatest year, and I'm fulfilling it and going on way more adventures than I've ever done in my entire life, like back to back, just everything's nonstop. It's like a dead serious mission. I'm like, everything's going to be an adventure. We're making an adventure of everything. Even between now, like when I got home today from work to leaving the house 2 hours later to come to the podcast, in my mindset getting home is how explosive can I make this hour and a half that I'm going to have with my boys so they can either laugh, have fun, have a catch, do something. Yeah. That it's a little squeeze something in there. When I get home, basically I'm gonna be tucking them into bed by that point. But still, it's like they know, they already know my routine on Mondays anyway. But even like to that point, it was just taking advantage of the opportunities. Like a friend of ours, they got this nice little mountain house in the Pocono Mountains. And they can't, there's a lot of work that was like being done to the house and that, so they can't really have people over for multiple days because there's just too much going on already. Yeah. But they can have someone over for a night. So if we were willing to drive up, it's a 2-hour drive, 2.5-hour drive. So if we're willing to drive up, because they're like further north mountains, that they're like, just if you can come for the night, you want to rock and roll, and we just jumped on those opportunities. Like these guys know we're at birthday parties, like my grandmom's 80th birthday party. From there, we're like hauling butt straight to the mountains, already packed, ready to go, and we're only staying overnight. And there's a lot of driving, and it's chaotic, but we squeeze in that one day, even if it's for 6 to 10 hours of daytime up there. We're in a different atmosphere. We made the most of it. Do the sightseeing, the hiking, whatever you want to do, and then boom, you're already back on the road. But it was like, holy smokes, it's Sunday night, and I'm back at my house, and like we just had this wild adventure. And it was only one night, so it's really up to how you make it.
Right.
You can go on these little adventures for one day and have a total blast. Like we didn't go to a theme park, we didn't do nothing, none of that. We're just enjoying nature and good company, and the kids have a blast. It's not like we're going there and it's just like we're hanging out playing cards all night.
Sure.
Like we're making it so the kids have fun.
Right.
And then when they're like tired as anything, then yeah, maybe the adults will play like a game of cards, but we're all in the same vicinity. We're in the kitchen, they're in the living room
Hanging
watching a
out
movie,
together, yeah.
eating popcorn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're just joking around the table, But it's dope because the atmosphere is different. So when they're done, you walk outside, you're in a balcony, and you could spot a black bear, or you could see deer walking up. It's just a different vibe than if you were just sitting at home, obviously depending on where you live. So I think it's just taking advantage of making the most, I should say, making the most of an opportunity that you get. Have fun. It might not even be you staying over somewhere overnight. It might be just a day trip.
Yeah. I was like, last weekend, my buddy has a spot at the lake at Penn Lake. Him and his wife told us to come over. We didn't know they were having these big rafts, like these big blow-up slides, and a big raft that literally floats in the ocean, in the lake. It sits 6 people, has like coolers in it and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So we go, and my kids go, and all they said was just bring your bathing suits because you're going in the water. So my kids bring them. I have pictures of them just running on this raft and going down the slide into the lake and then swimming back around. Like, it was that awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting in the big floating device on it's dang near like a boat, and you just sit in there, and then the middle fills up with water, so you can just keep your feet wet, and you're sitting down, and just it just floats out in the lake, and then you just bring it back in. But it's like those little things, like the kids like it now. They're like, Dad, can we go to the lake again? I was like, I got to talk to Ruben. I was like, we can't just go there. It's his lot. You know what I mean? Like, we have to make plans, or if they invite us, we can go with them. So now they got their pontoon out there. So next time we go, we're going to go out into the lake on the boat. So it's the best part about that is, like we always say, it's literally, 15 minutes away from our house. And you're in a whole different area. Like, your whole vibe is different. It's a complete vibe check. Like, you're like, what in the world? Nature. You're in the woods. There's just water out there. Like, and you're fishing.
Yeah.
And just doing all types of craziness. Cooking out there, lighting up fire pits and stuff. But, my kids, they definitely take advantage of it when they get down there.
I mean, it was just 2 weeks ago, I guess. Coming up on 2 weeks ago. Same thing. We had planned. It was Heck had something at his house. Like a birthday party or something, and we're all hanging out where Ruben was over there, and we're all just talking about it. So I had another buddy of mine who, this coming week, sounds like we're going to square up with him to, go to the lake house or whatever. But I was just talking about that, and I knew Ruben had it, but I don't know where the condition is. He's always like working on something over there, so you don't really. But he's like, it's actually ready to rock and roll, because we were told there's specific time periods. Great to go. Man, we got invited on a Wednesday. Check this out. It was a Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. They said it's the best where it's like there's no too many bugs or anything around. We're talking about August, right, in, PA. So it's hot. So at that time, the sun kind of settled down too. But it's just enough lighting for you to see what in the world you're doing.
Yeah.
And we all have, like, rods and stuff, but we're, we've been talking about it so long, but it just came into fruition on a random Wednesday. Bam, here we are having this, like, awesome adventure. And what I told Ruben was, like, memories that'll last a lifetime. And it was 2 hours. So that's what I'm talking about, like, making the most of something. It was literally 2 hours. And I respected that time. I remember looking at the clock. It said 8:05. Like, boo-boo, I was packing up everything. We're like, we're out of here. And it's just... right? We had the kids caught fish. Everyone was throwing bad, but it was just like, it was so much fun packed in such a little time. And everyone went to work. Like, well, I did anyway. We went to work. It was after work. I didn't lose any. I didn't have to take a day off. I didn't, you know what I mean? And again, that's not every week. But when an opportunity presented itself, I jumped on it and made sure, my 2 sons who I took can benefit from that experience
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
So what about a staycation? So Goose, you talked a little bit about being stuck in the house. So you were off for several days because of the pandemic, and kind of there was like a forced stay on people. Yeah. And so people were taking time off, whether it was for resting, whether it was just because they had to. It was like they couldn't do anything else. So let's talk about a little bit about staycation. So basically, you're not really going out anywhere. You might be taking day trips here and there. Pandemic aside, but have you guys ever done that?
No, when I'm off because there's something for the kids. Like, I take off. Like, we really don't. During the week, it's kind of tough because everyone's schedules. there's 5 kids in my house, so it's kind of hard to kind of gather them all together. And one's got this, the other one's got that, and stuff. So it's kind of tough. So like when I'm off during the week with them, I'm for the most part at home, unless we just like go to the park, and then because that's what they want to do, or they just want to go swimming. So it's like we're staying at home and just hanging out and stuff like that. Like nothing crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, or to Gabe's point earlier, like you have time to use and you got to use it, but like you don't really have anything planned. You just lump together a couple days and you just hanging out, doing. A lot of it was just like maybe fixing something in the house that we've been kept putting on, painting a room, something, or doing yard work. A lot of it for me was yard work or fence, and it was just random things like little projects that we kind of like string together. One thing would be like a staycation, like, all right, let's get an oil change for that car. Yeah. I had an order I got to pick up at Lowe's, right? Yeah. And then like we'll buy lunch, we'll hang out, and then like I knowingly have the next day off, so we'll stay up and have like dope conversation, enjoy, go out back, whatever. We're not doing anything crazy. Yeah. In itself, we're relaxing, but we're also getting things done.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's how, what I said, I take like those Wednesdays off, and that's pretty much what it is. Like, I go home, or I stay at home on Wednesday, really do nothing. I mean, a couple times where I've done like at home, like a thorough cleaning in the house, like stuff that like I overpass because the weekends come and go, and like I live here in Bristol Borough in town, so people that don't know, it's like a small historical town. There's a bunch of restaurants and like bars and like a lot of stuff to do. So I live right up the street from downtown. So on a Sunday early like afternoon, we'll have like Lauren's sister come over. Like, oh, it's Sunday fun day. Well, so like they'll come over and we'll just kind of hang out. We head downtown. So like my Sunday that I would normally take off and we would like clean the house or clean stuff up, we end up spending on going out to lunch and hanging out and stuff like that. So those Wednesdays that I do take off, I'm like, all right, let me just clean some stuff or just take care of some stuff that I kind of like just let slide over the past few weekends or whatever. But yeah, that's on those Wednesdays. They're like, I'm at home. I'm not really going anywhere. We're not like really, like I said, unless those days that like Lauren takes off from work, like we'll just go out for lunch or something. But it's nothing. We're just at home. Like really, I'm taking those days off to like really relax and just kind of like
not do nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, so like it's like me. I work from home Wednesdays and Thursdays. And if I take off a day, it's not the same. Working from home and actually taking a day off is not the same. Yeah. Even though I'm at home, I don't have to rush to get dressed. I don't have to do. I'm still on standby. Like I have my headphones on for a conference call. I got to pay attention to Phoenix, and Phoenix wants to start yelling in the background and stuff. So I'm like on edge, like just trying to keep doing my job. So when I'm actually home, like I don't have to turn on the computer. It's a totally different thing. So it's like and I feel better that I don't have to do nothing. I know I can just literally sit around with him. Me and him can just go out back or whatever, go for a walk, go for our little afternoon cruise, and put him for his nap, because if he doesn't take his nap, he takes him late, and then he's a whole another person.
That's a different situation too. It was like with now working from home stuff is like you really have to somehow remove yourself from your quote unquote workspace at home to do something, because it's you feel like you never left home. Yeah.
Right.
So now you guys know how I felt for 7 years. I did that 7 years. Before this pre-pandemic, this is 2007 to 2012. 2007, to 2014. Worked from home, and it's a beast. That's why I had a door in the office to shut it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise there's so many, and it's a highly disciplined thing. Like you have to be disciplined with that, stopping, having the ability to provide an actual professional environment when you're on these calls, and not a ruckus going on behind you. Like it has its pros and it has its cons for sure. But you adjust to it. But there was definitely things that there was extremely beneficial, right? And so even if I worked a full day and I'm done at 5:00, and me and a buddy of mine or our brother-in-law want to go to the golf range or something, let's just say, I'm ready at 5. Yeah, or exactly. 5:05. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because on my lunch break, I could pretty much put on the gear I'm going to wear because I don't need to be going anywhere. Right. And then it's just like shutting the system down. Yeah. Washing up and going. Like I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? So there was that benefit. Whereas now I got an hour drive home first, then get ready to probably eat. You know what I mean? And then so it's like it's a different total setup. But there was something with the staycation too. To go back on that, there's a bunch of stuff. Because I remember Mom and Pop used to do this a lot with us. We'd go to like Dorney Park or Six Flags one day. We'd go to like Lancaster. We for a day and come back. Right. We went
to Maryland one time and came back. We went to the Baltimore Aquarium.
Yeah.
We drove down there. We left early in the morning. We literally went to the aquarium, and we came back home. That was an hour and a half, 2 hour ride going down that way.
Yeah, the zoo, come back. There's a lake in Jersey that we all used to like to go to. Go there, come back. Like we strung together a bunch of day trips.
Yeah.
So, but we didn't really go anywhere per se, like overnight.
Yeah, we slept at home in our own beds.
Every night we were back at home. But it was an adventure. Like, I mean, you're like tired.
Every day was planned.
Yeah, you're tired, and then you get up next morning like, oh, what are we doing today? Where are we going today? And they'll like map it out.
Man. Then like you end it that Saturday going to like a Mercer County Park or something like that. Dude, it was classic. Like they had that down packed though. But again, there's a lot of planning that goes into that.
Yeah.
And budgeting. I'm sure as a kid you have no idea. You know what I mean? I hear James say stuff now. I'm just cracking up. He's like, why don't we just do that again? It's like, for a bunch of reasons, dude. You know what I mean? But it's a great idea. If you can make it happen, and this has nothing to do with, the want. There's a lot of stuff that we will want to do. It just has to make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
that's to benefit everyone in the family.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then obviously you have responsibilities too. So it's it's a funny balance that you have to take. But I think it's important to make it a priority to take that time. So to go back to the original question is like, how do you know it's time? And if you don't, here's my recommendation. If you don't know when it's time, maybe you need some time off. To Goose's point,
Goose proved that properly.
Yeah, because it's like maybe you don't even know because you didn't really properly take that time off for yourself. So I would string together a couple days if you can.
Yeah,
dude, it's so easy just to get wrapped up in the day-to-day living and your like cycle.
Ongoing.
Yeah, it's so easy just to like not even stop and think about I need a break. Like you need to like shut it down for like a day. Like a computer, you got to shut that thing down and then reboot it back up.
Your body rest up. Yeah.
And kind of to that point, like when I was saying, like at the end of the year I had like scrambled, but like that was stressful in itself. But but also I didn't really take time off for several months out of the year, so it was like then taking that time off, I was like now I'm like stressing, I gotta make sure I get all this time in to make sure it's like over. But it's like you need time to take a rest, like every once in a while, like I said, once a month or every few weeks or whatever it is, just kind of like. Even if it's a couple hours here, I'll leave work early or something like that. Just like kind of like chill out. Whatever.
You know what the funny thing is though? Like the days you have off, right? Like I usually get up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock every day or whatever, and I don't have to be at work till 9. But I kind of like give myself that decent time so I can take my time getting up. And then my day off, like I'm gonna sleep in. I still get up that early for no reason. But I get up that early even sharper than any other day. It's my day off. I'm like,
you're ready. You know you're off. You're still getting up.
What the hell? Are you kidding me?
You're wide awake and your body's ready to go. But normally you hit the snooze and you go back to sleep for 3 more hours.
On the regular, I'm like, all right, I gotta get up.
It's time for work. You snooze it. Makes no sense.
So growing up, we didn't do many like vacations or anything like that in the winter time.
Yeah.
As I got older and met my wife, her family did split up some days, actually several chunks of days. And I remember it was like the first time it was like, all right, we're going to take off in November. And I'm like looking around, November?
Where the heck we going?
November and January. It was, so his sister, my father-in-law's sister had a house in the mountains. So she would open it up to the family members to days that didn't, or weekends or weeks, whatever, didn't work for them. And say, hey, if you want it, it's all yours, enjoy. So we would get those dates, and then he would like send a quick text message, hey guys, we have this opening, does this work for anybody? Even if I can get one of my kids up there, basically, he'll say yeah to the whole gig, and just do all that and just where it's just him, what I mean? So if my mother-in-law, she could take off or string some days together, they'd reach out to us, like, can you guys do them? Like, heck yeah. So then initially, I didn't know how to take it. I was like, sure, because then I was like trying to manage my days. I'm like, dang, but I really want to save like my days for like the summer.
Yeah.
And what it ended up boiling down to is like, you got to spread yourself out, dude. You can't just like bunch it all together.
Yeah.
And man, it was like one of the first times it was like in the middle of winter, here I am. We're up at the mountain house doing winter things, but it was like not work. And so it was relaxing.
Right.
And so all of a sudden I found myself having the ability for the first time in like my life open to it and relaxing in the middle of the year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which I didn't before. Now it's something that we try to do and incorporate regularly. It's just something you would do now. But prior to that, it was always summer. Just took off in the summer.
Because that's what it always coincided with. Obviously, kids being off during summertime and stuff. So like,
oh yeah, there's a lot of factors there, of course.
And obviously,
naturally.
and there was always like you said, like it's winter breaks and stuff too, but it's nowhere near as long as the summertime was like extended periods of time.
Yeah.
But I mean, we always did like. It was always Thanksgiving-ish, but we always went to my aunts and stuff in Virginia, so that was always the weekend thing. We had like a long, we always had off that week for Thanksgiving.
What is it, like the fall break or whatever it is.
Yeah, so it was like the whole weekend before Thanksgiving. Mom always had off Thanksgiving and the day after, so we always went like maybe like that Wednesday before, stayed the whole weekend, and just made a whole thing of it with my aunt. I mean, we've kind of like fallen away from that, but it was always nice that let's get away because we got to see the rest of the family and stuff too during that time. So even some of my family from Florida will come in and stuff too. So it would make a nice little family reunion type stuff, whatever.
Definitely. Yeah, so I think like the escaping the hustle and bustle of life to go back to that, I think it's if it doesn't come naturally, I would say force it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Force it some time off. Just
everybody needs
because
time off.
It's like you may not know you're in your own way, and you may not know. You may be building up all these frustrations. It just might be you have to hit the reset for a day or two.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe even longer if you need it. But I'm just saying, like, try it. So I think the escape. It's not even really escaping. It's like it's part of the program. That's part of the game.
Yeah.
You gotta realize. It's I think about football or sports, baseball. Like they have, you come into the game. They have, especially with the pitchers, they have a specific job, and if you're starting, you have so many innings. And now, if you're having like the game of your lifetime, they'll keep you in there. But for the most part, you go 4 or 5, maybe 6 innings. And then they have a guy come in for 7th, maybe 8th. They have a guy come in at 8th, and they have a closer. Or they, however it makes sense for that game.
Yeah.
But each dude is in and out. Did they play the game? Yes. Did they have to be in there the entire time? No. Did they do their job? Hopefully. But it's like that is a perfect example. It's like you don't need to be there all they're watching the game. They're seeing what's going on. They're paying attention. But I'm not comparing that to the day off. But what I'm saying is, you need to monitor the hustle and bustle. Like, there's a reason for their rest. There's a reason for the efficiency of having that many pitchers in a particular game because you want to win the game.
Sure.
Right? And so if you're playing every position, you're playing the whole entire game, and then you have a game tomorrow, dude, how great is your potential going to be the following day after you just beat yourself up the day before, right? And so you have those intertwined and that might not be the best example, but
you have those are scheduled days of rest in between because when you're on the height of the games, whatever, you have those ones you need certain players for, but then they need to have time off to recuperate.
Yeah, and you're just gonna hurt yourself, I think, and it's the same way. And I think of like my son, he just finished his final baseball tournament of the year because we transitioned, made a decision to transition into soccer. Last year he played fall ball, but this year we want to make sure he plays soccer as well. And it just made the most sense. But I'm just watching, like, over the weekend we had a tournament, and there's rules for pitching. Like, as age groups, I'm sure it's different, and tournaments have different tournament rules, but a kid can only pitch so many innings, so many pitches. And what is the reason for that, right? There's a ton of reasons, but at the end of the day, you're trying not to hurt the kid.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You're not trying to injure the kid, and you're trying to overuse or abuse an ability or a talent, right? And why? Because they need appropriate rest. It's just like us. It's like you need to know where your limit is and then take the rest. There's no, the trophy of, going 1,000 miles per hour all day, 24 hours a day. It's just not. At one point, that's you're gonna blow a something, a gasket. Yeah, you're gonna blow a gasket at some point because we're made to rest.
Right.
That's why there's night and there's day.
Yeah.
Daytime you work, nighttime you rest, and there's reasons for that. Your body's built to rest. It needs to recharge itself. So to scramble with the hustle and bustle, just make sure. And yes, there's variety to that. Your resting might be different. I get it. If you have like a third shift job, whatever, you know what I mean. You gotta flip flop it, whatever it works for you.
Exactly.
But you have to have the ability to intelligently monitor that, because if you overwork yourself, now you're gonna have to take 2 weeks off because you're sick, because you overdid it, and you abuse your mind and your body for whatever reason, and now you're like, I can't perform because you can't half stay awake or you're performing poorly. There's a give and take to that.
Your body has forced you now to take that off.
And now you're just wasting. Now it's a waste of time when you could have been monitoring that the whole time.
Yeah.
All right. So to date, what was one of your favorite vacations in your adult life?
Well, for me, it was when we all went to Puerto Rico as like one big old family.
Same.
It was us, our family, mom, dad. Then we had our Aunt Lily, her husband, Uncle Jose, OG. Like, he was like our tour guide, which probably was the biggest mistake. But so it was like different generations that we went to Puerto Rico, and it was like, I want to say at least 3 or 4 generations at heart they were going there. So my Uncle Jose, he's older, what's he, like 75, 70 something right now?
It's up there.
Yeah. So, and then my mom's 60, and then so he went there for specific reasons and wants and whatever, but he wanted all of us to enjoy with him. So we did what he wanted to do, kind of took us to some spots, whatever, and saw like family that we've never met, but they're like related to us, old people, like old family members, whatever. And then like our parents, they wanted to do like the traditional, like, all right, let's go to San Juan, let's go here, let's go to some restaurants at the beach, let's go to our old hometown and stuff like that. And then us, we just wanted to like kind of hang out, and like Jimmylee was 18, so in Puerto Rico it's legal drinking age, so we were just kind of first having some drinks and hanging out. Like we were like pretty much like tourists at that point to our native land. But so I just think there was like so many different people and so many different like things that everyone wants to do something different, and we accomplished it, and I don't regret it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because if I would have went and seen what I would have wanted to go there, why I went there for, that's it would have been over. But then I saw my uncle taking us to the hood, to like some stuff, places where like it's complete poverty. We would have never seen that. That's not a touristy thing.
No.
He took us to where our family is, where like people were living in damn near like huts and shacks, kind of like. To say, like, almost. So we got a chance to experience that. Then we're in San Juan, seeing like Lamborghinis drive by, and like it's a city. So we got and it was like one of those trips where I feel like we experienced everything in that one whole that was a week we were there for 7 days. Yeah. But I feel like it was worth every little bit, and I think I was just like 21 at the time.
So it was 18 years ago. So knock off whatever you are now.
Yeah,
it was 18 years
No, I was
ago.
like, I had a bit. It was 2004.
Oh wait, yeah, because if you were just
2004.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 24.
Yeah, I was 23, 22, 23.
Yeah, I was 24.
Yep.
He was 18. But it was
Like,
it was.
That whole thing, the experience of walking through a cave. You're walking through a cave. There's bats flying all over
Meanwhile,
the place,
we've
right?
been to Puerto Rico prior to that.
But we never ventured out.
It wasn't
like
like a
what we did.
vacation day. We always went for weddings or we went for specific things. It
Yeah.
wasn't like this time we went for vacationing.
Tours. As a tour.
Exactly.
Before it was like visiting family.
Yeah.
And this time, family came to us. They came to our hotel.
Yeah, true.
To hang out with us, because typically we would go to their house to go hang out. Well, they drove off to us, so they spent the day with us in San Juan and stuff like that. So back to the whole cave thing. What I was like taken back when you see a parrot flying. People have these parrots, the red and blue parrots, as pets, and these things are just flying naturally in the air. Like, that's their habitat. That's their habitat. Like, you always see it in someone's house. They're training it and whatever. These things are just flying all over the place.
A bat?
No.
Parrots.
The parrot.
Oh, parrot.
A parrot.
Said someone was training a bat. I'm like,
No, parrots.
In the
No, the
world.
big parrots. The color,
Like a
the red
macaw.
parrot. Yeah, that's Macaulay Culkins. But yeah, I mean, Puerto Rico is definitely, I have to say, is one of the best.
I think for me, outside of, because that was a totally different experience with these two.
Yeah.
It was, that was with my family, specifically my brothers, and I was young. And then the other one for me was two. Both of them were with my wife. One was when I went to California. It was we're like dating for like a year or whatever. And then one we went to St. Lucia for our honeymoon. But both were two very different experiences. But the reason why those were so dope to me, like I'm like thinking about it, is like we enjoyed each other's company.
Yeah.
And it was like in celebration. The first one, it was within our first year of dating. So we're still like all excited, like, this is the best thing ever, so in love, whatever the heck. And then the other one was like, but it was, what a great time to experience something like that, because it's all good vibes, right?
Sure.
It's all
Right.
positive energy, it's good. And then it was like my buddy Scott's lived in California, so he showed us around, so we weren't like lost or anything. And then we went to St. Lucia, same thing, we just got married. So it was like, this is dope, we're super excited. And we went to a resort, and so they're guiding us around to experience the most out of it for the time that we were there. But again, it was with my significant other with a high positive energy.
Yeah.
And it just makes it so, in my mind, it's so memorable, it just pops in my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the first time anytime someone says like, what was your one of your favorite, it had to be, like the first was Puerto Rico for sure.
Yeah. So I also have one with my family. We went to Disney, and Lainey and Bella. Lainey was probably 5 years old, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and we already had taken Bella once, but the second time was dope because Lainey was all about the princesses and all that stuff. So like the moment she saw them, it was like she was taken back. She's like, "Oh my God, there's a princess right here!" Like, and she just wanted to take pictures with all the princesses, and just watching her face was always completely priceless. Like, that's just something I would never forget.
Yeah.
Watching her face light up, looking at, she's used to seeing them on TV, on cartoons and stuff like that.
See it in real life.
Yeah, she sees it in real life. It was definitely something dope. I remember.
So actually, to that point, is the second part of the question. What was your favorite vacation with your family? So whatever, kids or whatever that you have. I know one that just pops in my head is one where we all went to Wildwood together, like as adults with our families, and it was basically like tsunami season or something.
Oh gosh.
And it was just literally raining. I mean like torrential downpour, not just like it was raining, for like the entire time we were there. But what made that so, I guess, just memorable, like in the back of my mind, is that we made the most of it. Like, yes, that was probably not the most ideal weather, right?
Right.
But it was like we experienced it together. It was all over the dang map. We made the most of it. We're still, like, for some reason, we still made it a good time.
Yeah.
And still had a good time, I should say. And it was because that's the decision we decided to make. It was like,
Still
all
gotta
right,
make
well,
the best of
we're
it.
here now. Like, let's
Yeah.
just make the most of it. I think we might have squeezed in a day at the beach, but it was like an overcast.
But it was overcast day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That we went down to the beach, and it was an overcast day, and not many people stayed long because it was kind of cold. It was chilly to be in the water. And I remember going in the water with the kids. And
But
stuff,
that was part of coordinating that many people.
Yeah.
Is that everyone else did their own little vacations with their own families, and this was the only time they had for like the big thing. Dude, that's unless you own a piece of property or this is something like that's planned for months and months and months on end. It's so hard to get that many people to do one
thing.
Yeah.
But even with that, someone's like, stuff just doesn't cooperate probably because you can have, go to an island and you'd be rained out the whole time too.
Yeah, I know, man. I know that we talked about that too. We had a shore trip planned, and it was kind of like the same thing. It was like we planned it for months. It was all ready to rock and roll. The instant we booked it, we paid for it. So like we had no worries. We were going there simply just to enjoy. We had no stress, and the weather was just kind of like okay.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I'm like, dude, I work my butt off, and like this, I'm like, so now I know. Now it's like a thing I put in my head, like regardless of weather, you're gonna have a good time. Like we're gonna make this a good time no matter what. and don't let that ruin it. Yeah, it's of course going to naturally take away from the experience, but make up for it in some other way. Like we were finding, like I always say, like try to find something that's indoors, laser tag, bowling. Go to maybe like it's a movie for a couple hours so the rain passes, and then when you're done, like we did that where it's like we're kind of stuck because it kept saying the weather kept getting pushed off. I'm like, all right, let's walk over and grab some ice cream because they kept wanting to play mini golf.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well let's do the ice cream first, and then we'll try to figure out. And then we kept looking at the weather. It looked like it's about to clear up. All right, let's do mini golf, and bang, we got it in. And then the following night, it was going to rain for a period of time where we weren't. There's nothing you could do at the beach at, whatever specific time. So we made that just the arcade night because you're inside anyway. And so there's ways you can manage it the best you can.
Sometimes those days, are the most memorable ones. Like you can pinpoint it. Remember that time we went down to the shore and it was pouring rain?
Yes.
We were running down the boardwalk, running in and out of the
little stores and all
they
that.
leave like staple marks in your head. Like it's just
Yeah.
they're like the most memorable ones. Even
The
though
last
they
one
could have probably been the worst, like little crappy we.
Yeah, the last one that happened to us was this year with our friends Tara and Chris. Same thing. Every day we had something planned, and we've all been checking out the weather, and we're having a blast this whole time. Well, we all knew Monday it was gonna. Well, the forecast kept saying it's gonna rain. So we planned absolutely nothing for Monday. Like, all right, I guess it's gonna be a day where we just hang out, maybe go out to a restaurant or something, whatever. Well, I remember it was like noon. Hasn't rained yet, and the kids were getting like slap happy in the house, like almost borderline like a cabin fever is what it felt like. Just constantly getting yelled at. We're like, oh my gosh, we got to get out. Like we just got to go.
Let's go outside.
Like we gotta go. So we started out, having a catch or something out. Actually we had a frisbee catch, and then we're just like, then they started getting like wound up again. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then the goal was, let's pull up. The weather. So the whole point was, the rain kept getting pushed off another hour. So that's where we're going based off this. Yeah. So we're like, all right, now we gotta just do something whether it rains or doesn't rain. Yeah. Like this is getting crazy. It's like 2:00. Let's just go. So it was like 1:30. Yeah, 1:30, 2:00. We put in like, all right, we want to go experience like a waterfall or something. I'm like, all right, bet. So we find one, we pull up. I'm so naive. I had no idea what to expect, but I'm thinking in my mind, we're gonna pull up to a place and there's a waterfall. Well, not thinking like, dude, you gotta hike in and then you get to the waterfall, knucklehead. So
you don't just walk.
I had Vans on. Yeah, like we were not dressed for this at all. Like, we had like, I think my wife, luckily, she's a smart one. She had like cookies, crackers, and like a couple bottles of water for the boys.
Yeah.
So, but outside of that, and these guys know, I'm typically like, we had this stuff. I didn't know that's what we were doing though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I even had the shoes for it. I didn't know that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
So we get there and we start going in, dude. Now we're in like the woods, and it was like the coolest because it wasn't too hot. Now this is the middle of summer. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. The sun was out, but it was nothing crazy. So we go on this hike, and it was like that in itself was like this little adventure. Boom, boom. We get to this beautiful waterfall. Have these like cool pictures. We put our hands in the water, just like so refreshing. The boys were touching the water, and we're just like climbing up on these rocks. Go through the woods. Get back. They're like, oh, there's this awesome restaurant right around the corner. We're eating dinner like overhanging a lake, and you see people fishing, and we're just having a great conversation. We get back, I forget. Then we go home. Oh, we went the back roads. So then we went on this crazy adventure because he has like an off-roading truck. I have the Jeep that's set up for it. So we're going through all these like hilly roads, like purposely. Like we took this route. We end up stopping at, making a pit stop, grab some things, and then back at the house. And dude, we were all on this natural high. It was one of my favorite days. It was so random, but it ended up being one of the best days. We laughed so hard on the hike because people were like slipping and whatever. Everyone was like out of shape basically, and it was just, dude, we had an absolute blast. You couldn't plan that. You literally could not plan that fun. Like we plan on going there because we're going to be in that same area coming up in a week or two, and we plan on going back to that little area for that hike, and we're going to have fun and everything, but it was just one of those things. It was like it was so much fun that we're planning on going back this year. We've never experienced anything like it before. I went out and bought like real hiking boots, like literally, because
Nice.
it's like it changes your perspective on things.
Yeah.
You're like, yo, this is awesome. But yeah, that was one of those times where it was extremely memorable, but super unplanned. But we just
Yeah.
went with it. Like we just went with the flow. Like it felt like the universe is telling us, get out of the house,
go.
go have fun.
Yeah.
And dude, thank God we did. We got home like at nearly 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then it rained. I sent them a video of me and my buddy Chris on the balcony, torrential downpour, underneath a tent smoking cigars. Right, you remember that? That was that whole that we already had experienced that whole day. Imagine if we're just waiting all day
day
till
to do
7
nothing.
p.m. Then it starts to
gosh.
rain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that would have ruined the whole thing. We just went with it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What was last question? What was one of your fondest childhood vacations you experienced?
Well, so for us, our grandparents lived in Kissimmee, Florida, right outside of Orlando. So we always drove down to Florida and we did the whole Disney thing, which was like, we did it so much. It was amazing, but we did it so much. It was like, got to the point where we're like we're over
Don't
it.
wanna do it.
But as an adult, I'm like, dude, I appreciate that now. Like
Yeah.
we went so many times.
Yeah.
And like our parents were able to do that for us. But
Yeah, people talk about to his point, and I was going to say something to that extent. We've gone to Florida, and the same thing going down the Jersey Shore with our one aunt and uncle. But these were the same folks that we would experience this with. But somebody was saying the other day, was like, oh, I've gone to Disney, but I've never been to Epcot, or I've gone to Disney, I've never been to, or I've gone to Epcot and Disney, but I've never been to Universal Studios. And I'm
Yeah.
like, holy smokes! Even like before I was 10, I experienced all those
of that, yeah.
multiple times
Yeah.
over, right? And I'm like, oh my goodness, there's still someone I forget, someone close to me who's never been to Disney, and it's
Lauren?
like, Lauren,
she's never been to Florida.
yeah, Lauren, yeah.
She's never been to Florida.
And so like when you hear something like that, how it's just like.
It's almost like you want to take them just so that they can experience
Yeah,
what
and
you
it's
did
like-
as a
yeah.
child. You know what I mean? Like you want to take them by the
And
hand.
then
and
there's
take-
like Florida fanatics.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
there's people
totally.
who just like totally obsessed with Disney. Like that's
Jess,
awesome.
one of Jess's friends,
Yeah.
her and her dad go to Disney at least 4 to 5 times a year.
a year?
A year.
Wow.
They're fanatics, and they'll be sitting at home and like she goes, Dad, let's go to Disney. All right, Friday we're going,
Oh.
and everything's just like booked, and they just go. The two of them,
That's awesome.
they just go. It was funny because Jess called her the one time. She's like, I'm in Disney right now. She's like, what the heck? How many times are you going? Yeah, they are like true fanatics. Like everything is Disney for them. Their Disney life. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yep.
That's incredible. All right. So any final things on you need a vacation? So I guess the final words is take one if you don't think you
Yeah.
need one. Just take some time off, man.
Take time for yourself, really. Like a vacation is you're supposed to just kind of like relax. Like
Yeah.
Reset.
Obviously, some people they go on vacation and it's more work than when they go to work.
Yeah.
They try to coordinate everything. They try
Yeah.
to come up with an itinerary. Dude, just
That's too much.
when you go to vacation, just vacate. When you go on a vacation, just vacate. Like just keep it simple and like. I mean, I feel like Jim said, like some of the adventures would just happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's
Yeah.
just do this, and like when you map stuff out, it doesn't happen accordingly to what you have in your mind. But when you just do things randomly, like on vacation, they're like the most like fun. But yeah, I think everyone should take a few days off for themselves, and then obviously just take a family vacation or whatever. But it's all about like. You're taking a break from your normal routine, right? It's mental health, like that's like huge right now. So like, if you can step away from your daily routine and just do something totally different, whether it's like even if you stay at home and do nothing, or you
Yeah.
go to the Jersey Shore, like where we're at, or go to Florida. I mean, it's just like relax your mind, relax your brain, slow down from the daily routine, from the daily grind, like just like. I'm just saying this because I'm going on vacation the next few days, so I'm like, I can't wait. And it's like, honestly, like we're flying down to Myrtle Beach, but like the most stressful thing is like getting all that stuff. Once I drop my luggage, like in the hotel room that we're staying at, vacation starts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
all the stress is done. Like there's no traveling. Boom, that's it. It begins
Yeah.
there. But yeah, dude, it's like vacation. You just want it stress free. Just keep it like. Put everything to the side and it's you. It's just you time.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, pro tip, if you can if you can, whatever you plan on, if you're going away, if you can, get that extra day in.
Yeah.
Just home, unpacking, or whatever.
Yeah.
If you can. So if you're going from Sunday, if you're off from Friday to Friday, Sunday to Sunday, vacation, the actual vacation probably should end on Saturday, Friday or Saturday, and then give yourself that next day to kind of catch up, jet lag, whatever the heck.
It is. Yep.
You need a vacation
Unpacking.
from your vacation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, that's pretty much with me this week coming up. We'll leave Saturday. We'll be home Thursday afternoonish, early evening. I'm off Friday. So I just be at home unwinding,
Yes.
unpacking everything, taking everything apart or whatever. I'm sure the kids are going to be all over the place, so it's just going to be a relaxing day to do nothing absolutely on that Friday.
Because even like if you do like the local, like even like down the shore type things, like just that traveling that day before, it's like you almost done. It's not quite the same, but it's almost like a jet lag type thing. It was like actually you're just back on the grind again. It's
Listen,
like,
we've done it. I've done it. We've gotten home nearly midnight and had to go into work the next day. I get it, but dude. I've done it a bunch of times. But I'm saying, if you can, if you have the luxury of doing that,
100%.
that is awesome to know that you could do that. All right, we like to wrap things up with quotes, and the first one is by Auguste Rodin. Nothing is a waste of time if you use the experience wisely. The second one by Jim Rohn. Learn to be thankful for what you already have while you pursue all that you want. You need a vacation. In this episode, we discuss our vacation experiences as kids and adults, escaping the hustle and bustle, and our favorite vacations with our family. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Auguste Rodin and Jim Rohn. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.